Welcome to Inside Putnam Podcast, presented by the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce. And now your host, Ashley Offord Glantz.
Hey everyone, it's Ashley from the Putnam Chamber here at Area 34 in the Inside Putnam studio. We are really excited today because it is the official launch of the Inside Putnam podcast. Our first guest is Jill Scarbro with Bright Futures, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself today, as well as her vision behind Bright Futures and how she got started. And I can't wait for you to learn more about her. So Jill, welcome.
Yay, thanks. I'm really excited to be here, and I feel extra special being the first person to come on Inside Putnam, so thank you.
Of course. I'm excited to have you here. Tell us a little bit about Bright Futures.
So Bright Futures Learning Services, this is actually our 15th year in business. We started in 2007, that we are a therapy center primarily for children with autism, that we provide applied behavior analysis therapy, which is the most evidence-based treatment for autism, that if we're able to get kids as young as we can, so hopefully 2 years and younger, what research validates that we're able to do is that 50% of the kids on the autism spectrum, if they have intensive ABA therapy, 50% of kids make so much progress that they're able to transition into schools. The language that research uses is indistinguishable from their peers. So a kiddo that may have been originally pretty significantly impacted by autism, when the time they hit kindergarten, looks pretty like any other kid. So 50% of kids make that much progress, and then 40% of kiddos make significant progress. They're better able to communicate and have play skills and have better social interactions, but they are still identifiable on the autism spectrum. And so we are one of very few places in the state of West Virginia that provide that service. We are one of a couple that's exclusively what we do. So yeah, we're pretty proud to be able to be here.
Yeah, we're proud of you. We are absolutely proud of you here in Putnam County. So throughout the Inside Putnam podcast, we're going to be talking with our members about the process of starting a business. So over the next couple of weeks, we'll have guests and we'll talk about the ins and outs of starting a business and becoming an entrepreneur anywhere, in the United States or the world, but specifically here in Putnam County. And so, the first step of starting a business is actually having the idea. So what led you to want to start Bright Futures Learning Services?
That to me was the easy part. So a little bit about my background is I have a learning disability. I'm, an ADD and dyslexia kind of girl. And I claim all of Southern West Virginia as home because my family bounced around. My dad was a service member, and so we bounced all around the state. But thank God I have a really awesome family and had an incredible first grade teacher that realized something was a little different about me and I needed some additional services. And so my family worked together and figured out how to get me early intervention, which then changed the trajectory for me. And so I knew from about second grade that I wanted to be able to specialize to help kids with different needs the way I was able to get help. And so I was at Marshall as a special ed major, always knowing I was going to specialize, but that was a good starting point, and saw a flyer for a family recruiting to do applied behavior analysis in home. And I was like, what is this? And then that was my aha, I finally found the exact combination. And so it's Mike McCoy was my first kiddo, that there was a network of really awesome moms that were working together, and they were flying in experts from California to train them and to train college students how to do ABA. And so again, I fell in love with Mike because he was a kiddo with significant impairments, but what we were able to help him achieve was remarkable. And so I went to Texas to graduate school, but always with the intention of coming home to West Virginia because I felt really strongly that kids in West Virginia deserve the best. Mm-hmm. And so I was willing to go wherever I needed to go to train, but then came home as a single mom in 2007 going, okay, I'm here, went to train and I'm here to, want to do ABA. And at that point, there was no funding because historically, the only way you could get ABA was if you were very wealthy and could afford to pay for it. So, anyway, fast forward through. It's always been working through families. We then worked to pass insurance legislation to cover ABA, but Bright Futures actually started when I moved home from Texas, and my first kiddo, Mike, he was in high school at that point, and it was really not a good scenario. And so we actually started Bright Futures as a private school for one kid in my granny's kitchen. And if you know me, will be like, oh, you're an entrepreneur. Like, that was like a dirty word to me. I would get mad. Actually, fun story. I once had a Phil Pfister, if you know who Phil Pfister is, like world's strongest man, whatever year that was, right? It actually invited me to go with him to the governor's state of the state as when we were working on passing insurance legislation. I'm like, woohoo, coolest date of my life. And he said, oh, you're an entrepreneur. And I got in an argument with him. I was like, I am not an entrepreneur. I just want to help kids. And so in terms of like how to start a business, for me, what it has been is really what's your passion, what's the thing you really want to do, because you got to love it well enough to go through the hard times to figure out how to make it happen. And so my passion, I'm very blessed in that way, that it's really a calling for me. And it's really never been about business and about making money. My perception in this, I say I owe entrepreneurs an apology because I thought you guys were bad guys. That all you cared about is you were greedy and you wanted to make money, and that's all you cared about. And sometimes that's true. And so I don't owe those people an apology if that's all you really care about. But I really learned what a true privilege it is to have something that you care so much about, that you work together with people and to help make a difference, and the importance of and providing a job. And to be able to now provide jobs we have like 35 employees this year. We'll probably be getting close to 50, of going, what an immense privilege and responsibility that is, that people's livelihoods and their ability to provide for their families and stay home, that we were able to create something that enabled that. I've come to just be blown away by, wow, that's really what we're able to do. So
absolutely. Well, I think you have the right business model, because even though I still consider you an entrepreneur, it's not a dirty word.
I've decided, okay.
Yeah. But as far as, the right business model and the passion behind it has led you to get some awards. And so, nominated as the West Virginia Small Business of the Year, winner of the Woman-Owned Small Business of the Year, and then also nationally recognized by the National SBA as one of our SBA winners, Small Business Award winners. So I think the passion behind it is what led you there, for sure.
It is, and it's still like when someone said, we should nominate you for this award, I was like, that's ridiculous. To be recognized as a business person, it again has taken me a couple of years to go, okay, yes, because it was always the passion. And it's true that any successful person is because they build an incredible team. And so, it's fun. I get to be the face of the organization, and I'm really good, as you're seeing, running my mouth about it. I'm real good at that. But it truly is the team of people that are passionate, that work together, that have done it. And absolutely. So it's,
When I first started working, someone told me, if you love what you do, then you never work a day in your life. And I agree with that.
Yes, and you work every day of your life.
Also true. Yes, also
it is,
true.
but you at least enjoy it, and you choose to do it. And most days you want to do it, and you can get through the hard, but it's not work. It's just living. You live it. You don't ever turn it off, which is hard too.
Absolutely. 100%. And cell phones don't make it any easier, do they?
No.
Technology, I guess.
Boundaries are a good thing to try to figure out.
Speaking of the hard days, what is an obstacle that you faced that you feel that maybe, others looking to start a business, or, you could give some advice on?
There are a lot of obstacles. But I'll tell you the one that seems to be the most common thread as we talk to other small business owners, and not just small business owners, but I remember talking to folks, from Toyota, and they're a massive organization that it seems like the number one challenge is workforce. Where do you find people? Like I've got a waiting list a mile long of people that want our services. It's all about, how do we find the people to then train who can then, then will be employed to provide those services. And that's, if I talk to contractors, that's the same challenge. And so I think that's the number one issue. And for us, we're still trying to figure it out. There are a host of other challenges for us because people don't know what ABA is, and there's not a training program, and so there are additional challenges for us. But it's all about workforce. And so I'll tell you some of the things that have helped us try to create our funnel, right? Yeah. Is one, know what you're looking for, and figuring out you as an organization. What it's cheesy, but I'm learning it's also true, is like, what are your values, right? Like, what's the personality that you're looking for that will, care about the same things that you care about, and figure out how to screen for those people and look for that first, because those are the things that are much harder to train. You can train the skills, but it's about finding the right fit of the person and their mentality and the way that they think about things. So if you are first able to identify for yourself, what do you care about? That helps you then find those things in other people.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. What's something that when you first started out seemed like the end of the world, but now that you look back at it, you're like, oh, that's not that big a deal. Or that was kind of funny now that I think about it.
Oh, gosh. I don't know. It's not when we first started out, but I'll tell you, for us, like COVID, right? We've been doing this for a hot, 12 years, 13 years at that point, whatever. And when, COVID hit, we all were like, holy, what is this? And how do we do it? And how are we going to survive? And I'm now honestly grateful for a lot of what COVID brought out, right? Like, there's a lot of things like, no, I'm not grateful for. But it's true. I've become kind of the poster child for the SBA, but you also know me. I don't say if it's not true, because of the resources and the networking and the community of support that we had. We were really well positioned to navigate COVID about as well as anybody could. And that it's true, like you at the chamber, like that I was really, close with you and close with the chamber, and got the information quickly and had the network of, we all had questions, but we knew where to go to ask the questions at the same time. And for the people who were trying to figure out the answers to go, we don't know yet, but we'll get back to you. I'm really grateful for that. And then with the SBA, I've taken advantage of every single one of their programs. That it's true. I wish I had been more familiar with the SBA and the SBDC earlier than I was, because again, I knew nothing about business. I was just like, how do I help this kid? And so it's years later that they're like, do you know the SBA can help you? But one of the things I had done with them is their Emerging Leaders program. And so that was the first time that I had time away to start do strategic planning and start thinking big picture, and that classic, like, start working on the business instead of in the business, that I was able to do that like the year or two before COVID hit. And so I already had tools that were helping us be positioned to navigate COVID. And so, I'm grateful now, and it's true, we're going to be better because of it, because we were forced to then use some things that we had talked about. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful for it, because we're in a good position.
Yeah, we've had a lot of members that actually, we've had a lot of businesses and members that were obviously very negatively impacted by the pandemic, but we have had some that have seen significant growth. And so, we hope that we're on the tail end of this thing, and that we can continue to help our members grow throughout. But I agree. It wasn't all bad.
It's like anything, right? It's classic, give you lemons, make lemonades. It's what you choose to do with it. And now again, like we're fortunate in that the business that we're in, we weren't restaurants that were just totally getting demolished. And so there are some businesses like, I don't know how you come through it at all. We are very fortunate that, again, we were already positioning for growth. And so had resources and had reserves and, that kind of stuff to help get us through it. But, I'm still a firm believer in every bad situation, there's always something that you can get out of it, and like a lesson to be learned that then long term will make you stronger. And that's been very true for us. So,
absolutely. Yeah. So what advice would you give to someone who has a passion that they could turn into a business?
Find your people, find your village, and build them up. And it's true. Again, all the businessy cliche things, they're sayings because they're true. Is the key to a successful person is finding the people to do the things that you're not good at. And so I'm good at a few things, and I'm passion's what I'm good at. If I really believe in the thing that I do. But man, I really stink at a lot of things. But I found the people that share the same passion as I do. And then it's like any team, position your players. And so be really honest with yourself about what you're good at and what you're not good at. And in the beginning, you can't necessarily have the whole team of people. You got to build it up, but at least do some self-analysis and go, these are my strengths. These are at least, maybe I'm not good at them, but they're also non-preferred things for me to do, and try to find who are the resources. Is it your family members? At the beginning when you're just starting up, like, hey mom, hey friend that want to help. I stink at writing. Like, I'm really right. I'm dyslexic and ADD. Like, me getting out an email is horrible. And so find somebody that will help you take some of those things off your plate. And again, the SBA and SBDC really has some great resources. So reach out to them and find out what's available to you. But that would be my first thing: is don't try to do everything yourself. Yeah. You're going to have to do almost everything yourself, but be looking for, okay, somebody else can take this task for me.
Absolutely. Outside, we've talked a lot about SBA, SBDC, and I think that'll be a common thread throughout this series of the podcast. But are there any other resources out there that you've utilized that you've found helpful that you think somebody else might not know about or haven't used before?
Our whole community here in Putnam County. I mean, honestly, that is a huge piece of our success. Is that the Meeks family, for example, that Tim Meeks has been phenomenal to us, and when offered us space at a price that we could afford in the beginning, was really great to work with us. And the other business leaders to find out what is it that you do, and learn from each other. Is talk to other people. I mean, really, and take advantage of the community. That's I think the strength of Putnam County, is that we do things as a community and want to help each other and want to help each other succeed. So it is, get involved at the chamber and at least meet the other folks and learn from each other.
Yeah, we definitely have a community here in which people love to work with and help those that they know, and they want to know more about you and more about your goals and your vision, and they're here to support.
Yeah. People want to help.
Yeah.
It's just,
you just got to tell them what you need.
That's the first thing, is figuring out yourself. What do I need? And oh wait, if I only was willing to ask for help and had a specific ask, people will do it. But you first got to figure it out yourself. But they want to help.
Absolutely. If people want to learn more about Bright Futures Learning Services, how do they do so?
You can go to our website, which does need to have some updates, but it's still, most of the information is there. Our website is brightfuturesaba.com. You can also find us on Facebook. The thing that I, though, really want people to know about, that I'm really proud of, is our nonprofit branch, which is CARES, which is Community Autism Resources and Education Systems. CARES is the acronym. That CARES is the nonprofit that we started in response to the massive waiting list of families that we have, that we know that well under 10%, it's probably more like 3% of families in West Virginia who have children with autism have access to ABA at all. And so we have a crazy waiting list for services, and some really tragic things can happen with families while they're waiting for services for their kiddo. And so we started CARES to really help build a network of support for the families. And so April is Autism Awareness Month. I think this is going to, be April. CARES has a lot of great stuff going on in April. And so we have on April 2nd, at Valley Park, we're doing Light the Night to kick off Autism Awareness Month. April 23rd is our big event. It's Autism I've said it wrong. Awesome Family Fun Day and the Autism Spectrum at Hurricane City Park and Meeks Mountain Trail. Ton of great stuff happening that day that we need people to volunteer, we need people to sign up to walk, and we need sponsors. So if you're looking to help contribute to a really great cause, choose us.
Absolutely. Well, Jill, I appreciate you being here and being the first guest on the Inside Putnam podcast here at Area 34, made possible by my two friends, Creative Brands International and Local Impact Group, Philip and BG, set up this awesome studio for us. So out there in the pod universe, let's give them a big hand because they're making our chamber podcast dreams come true. So thank you both very much for your help with that. Jill, thank you for being on here and for opening up about, the struggles of being a small business owner. I'm not going to say entrepreneur.
It's
anymore,
okay now. I will own it now.
Yeah, but we appreciate you. We appreciate your membership in our chamber, and we're always here to help. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Inside Putnam podcast. We'll be back next week.
This has been Inside Putnam, a presentation of the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce. Copyright 2022, all rights reserved.